All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here, of course, for Haikyuu. Episode 6.
Yes. An interesting team. So
this is the group that Kageyama had his teammates on. They're going to play against them. It'll be a tense match, to say the least.
Sure.
But this is a scrimmage.
That's true. Now, do you think they will actually resolve this game in the one episode? Or...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Because it's a scrimmage. And also, I don't think this is the type of show to draw out stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think, if anything, it won't resolve everything having to do with this team's interactions, potentially, with Kageyama. It might even go a little bit light on that in terms of recapping the game.
All right.
But let's say they're really efficient. I could see them actually finishing the game and doing a little bit of closure to the whole King of the Court thing.
All right. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
Also, Suki is still not happy with Kageyama being on his team.
No. So they could cause some conflict there.
Which could mirror, in a way, how the tournament went with Kageyama's team.
It absolutely could.
High.
Now, how much time do you think they'll actually focus on the conflict in between the players, both on the other team and on their team, and how much time they'll actually spend playing the game?
I think they'll spend a good 30% to 40% of the episode actually playing the game.
Okay. All right.
I think they'll spend more about 20% actually dealing with the conflict.
Okay.
And then they'll spend another 20% kind of building up to the actual game. So that leaves another 10 to 20% for resolution stuff.
Okay.
That's how I would do it if I wanted to be efficient with something like this.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which character are you going to be looking out for in particular to do something interesting this episode besides
Kageyama? And I would say also besides Hinata.
Besides Hinata?
Yeah, because one, he's the main character, and and he's also the person that is on the friendliest of terms with Kageyama.
For sure.
I am looking forward actually to seeing Osu do something. Because one,
We're still calling him that, guys. You can't stop us.
Yeah. Never. Because he can't be setter, right? So what is he going to do? Is he going to be on the bench the whole game? Is he going to be
his
playing
words
a
are going to be
position?
Important. Yes.
Right, exactly. Since he's not going to be actually doing much as far as the game goes, as much as normal, I think his words are going to be twice as effective.
Right. Also giving him the potential to kind of be a salve for any potential hot intense conversations that shouldn't necessarily happen. Like
if they say, if the other team starts basically taking a bunch of stabs at Kageyama's play style, and maybe he's actually doing just fine, but they're getting under his skin, he can come up and be like, hey, no, you're doing good, keep it up. Yeah.
Good stuff. I'm excited then. All right, let's get into our first real game, essentially, for Karasuno High.
Yeah. No pressure.
Yeah. First the top, then the bottom.
Wow. Knock some courage into him, really?
Daichi, we need your
yes.
your captain skills. Crows.
Good day for the crows.
Yes. Head of team. Abo Johsai. Yeah.
お前出身中学同じだろ金田一。ああ、影山っすか。別に大したことないっすよ。ガラスのっつったらマネが美人ってことくらいしかないし。マジっすか
Okay, so she is the manager.
ちょっとエロい感じでさ。あとそういや柄の悪いやついたな。坊主で目つき悪くてさ。
Tanaka. Talking about me.
Yep, you called.
Yep.
That's a cool shot.
The crows have arrived.
Yep.
そんな威嚇しちゃダメですよ、田中さん。ほら、エリートの方々が
Oh my gosh. Suki too.
別にビビってねえよ。おお、そうだな。
Wow. Now, Daichi's like, I do not approve of this. Yeah.
Daichi is like the dad, just making sure that they're all just completely out of. Oh. Tanaka's like, yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Just brush him off. He's reversing it. Yep. He undid everything he just did. Now you're just being confusing.
Yeah.
Kageyama 大王の独裁のもと、俺という臣民は虐げられ、日々苦渋を味わっている。ちょっとうまいからって調子に乗りやがって。ほらね。
He's trying to make him think that they're all like this.
サーブもうまいことはうまいんですよ。そうそう。腹立つ。でもトスだけは最悪。
Oh.
トスが。すげえ。
This is great. Hinata's help setting them up for failure.
Right. No, Tanaka, don't blow it! No, don't blow it!
That's not going to make him less nervous. That was fantastic.
That was perfect.
Aoba Johsai 高校の練習試合を始めます。マツコナイスさー。おい、開けろ。バカか。どう見てもおめえのボールじゃねえだろ。ごめんなさい。縁の下、カバー。田中。おう。
Yeah.
まずは一本。どんまいどんまい。ひなた、落ち着いて周りも見ていこうな。すみません。
Jeez. What happened?
Oh boy.
ひなた。一回落ち着こう。よりによってこのタイミングでひなたのサーブ。あ、やばい。手にちゃんと当たってる。
Wow.
Okay.
The sound effects.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He's gonna say exactly what he needs to hear right here.
Yep.
お前さ、はい。一体何にビビってそんなに緊張してんの？相手がでかいこと。初めての練習試合だから。俺の後頭部にサーブ打ち込む以上に怖いことって。何？特に思い当たりません。
Wow.
じゃあもう緊張する理由はないよな。ちょっともんな。一番怖いこと。お前。はい。他のやつみたいに上手にやんなきゃとか思ってんのか。一丁前に。
Good, yeah.
交代させられるから。俺最後まで試合に出たいから。おい。なめるなよ。お前が下手くそなことなんか。やりきってることだろうが。
So just play as best you can.
第3話。交代させられた時のことはな。
This is a practice game.
交代させられた時に考えろ。助けなくていい。
Sure.
はい。多分大丈夫です。
You don't have any brains for that.
バレーボールっつうのはな。ネットのこっち側にいる全員。俺なく味方なんだよ。
That's right.
下手くそ上等。迷惑かけろ。チームであり先輩だ。
Senpai Tanaka.
Yep.
田中先輩と呼ぶ。
Yes.
Wow.
田中先輩。 先輩って呼ばれるだけだな。でも田中がいて助かった。
Yeah, that was genius.
ああいうことは絶対裏表なさそうなやつが言うから効果があるんだよな。おい、後で後頭部狙うサーブ教えて。あ、僕にも後で教えてね。N さ、N さ、クリミー。影山カバー。はい。
And here we go.
なんだ。
Oh, the quick! Yep.
クイック。
Whoa!
あれ。
Oh no!
He missed.
No! You had your eyes closed, bro.
今みたいなのちゃんと打てなきゃ王様が怒り出すよ。日向。ほら来た。悪い。今のトス少し高かった。
Yep. Yep.
影山が。
They're like, what? He's changed. バカな。They don't know.
Nope.
Whoa! Woo! There it is. It just pisses Suki off.
Yep.
日向、影山。せーの。チームっぽい。
Oh my god.
多いじゃなくて。
Not like, it's for real. Tanaka's just raw dialogue is hilarious.
Yep.
おい、あのチビ速攻あんのか。1セット目と様子違いますね。よし、ビビったか。ビビったな。
Yeah.
日向を存分に警戒しろよ。
Mm-hmm.
日向が動き出したところで反撃行きましょう。
Which means we can alternate back to Tanaka.
Exactly.
チャンスボール。オーライ。来るって分かってたら怖くねえんだよ。
Yep.
待ってました。
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
そうだらっきょくん。試合で見てみろって言ったろ。素人目にもブロックが分散させられてんのがわかるよ。
カラスノってこんな強いとこだっけ。でもミスも多いよね。
Whoa!
どうした、日向。
俺初めて試合に出た時は全部自分でちゃんとやんなきゃって思ってて、
But you don't.
でも今は俺よりずっと上手い選手が
That's the
周りにいるから
best feeling.
今の俺にできるのは
Yeah.
信じて飛ぶことだけですよね。ごちゃごちゃ考えなくてよかったんですね。
遅えよ。その信じて飛ぶことがとんでもない武器なんだけどな。
Wow, it's about to end the set. Yep.
Yep.
おい、今のカバー入れたのか、クニミボケ。やっぱりあの5番止めないことにはなんとも。
確かに影山と5番のコンビは脅威だが、それ以外にも冷静さは足りないがパワーと気概あふれるスパイカーの田中君、若干覇気に欠けるがクレバーなブロッカーの月島君、穴の多い守備を広くカバーするキャプテンの沢村君、
Right.
素人まがいはいるし守備はまだまだ穴だらけだが、その素人まがいを軸にした変幻自在の攻撃、翻弄するとはまさにこのこと。カラスノか。
Wow.
危うくて面白いチームだ。
That's awesome. I
That
love
is
the
awesome.
analysis from the experienced coach.
多分ですけど、向こうのセッター、正セッターじゃん。
Yeah.
おう、
Mm-hmm.
戻ったのか。おいか。
Oh, pretty boys on the field.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so
So you were right.
I was.
They completed at least 2/3 of the game.
right.
Ah.
And they're probably going to end up losing the game. I'm
Well,
guessing.
it would be good for them to not win too easily.
Right. Yes. They did something great where, you know, just against one team, they had a point where it's like, okay, we're doing terribly. Okay, now we're just slaughtering them and it's awesome.
No, they were only 2 points ahead. Or
Well,
3 points
okay.
ahead.
Sure, but it was like they were in there, they were moving and grooving, and they had their thing going.
Right.
And if they were only 2 or 3 points ahead, then that lends more to the idea that they probably.
Well, that's what the scoreboard said.
Right. Yes. But that means they probably will lose the game if this is their final form, their true setter.
Well, they could have a bit where they switch up the players a bit, and so could Karasuno. The idea that they were saying, hey, we have a pretty good evaluation, us as the viewers and the other team, of what their team's potential is. They just need to adapt it a little bit, but then Karasuno needs to adapt on their adapt.
Right.
And then it just works out in the end anyway.
And that's great because
it doesn't really matter, I think, who wins this game.
No. I mean, because it is a practice match.
But
and it's more about how they grow together as
Right. They're winning as a
players.
team right now, which is a good thing, because Kageyama they thought would be the king and be a detriment to the team as a whole by him being the setter.
Right.
But in this case, he's everything but that. In fact, he's actually helping them win by being the setter.
Yes.
Thereby proving he's probably going to be their starting setter.
Sure.
Potentially
possibly,
even removing our good buddy Suga, aka Osu, from the starting
So, one of the things I just want to point out
position
is that, so you know how you were saying that you didn't think it was the game was going to go beyond the one episode. And I think the reason you were saying that is a very good reason, because it's hard to keep conflict strong when you do that, right?
Right.
It feels less intense. But with the way they did this by introducing this new setter right before they ended the episode, that's basically a way to reset the conflict.
Exactly. And they did do a
awesome.
recap of sorts with the coach. The coach was the recap.
Yeah.
Each game was essentially the set. So by their each being these individual sets, they are essentially treating it like a game. I know volleyball is made up of multiple sets per game, but the format, story-wise, is that each set was basically a game. So they're both tied right now. 1-1 is another way to look at it. And the next point will determine the victors.
With each set having a different overall feel or theme or
tone
for it.
One was about Hinata being completely out of whack and out of sync because he's feeling the burden of expectations put onto him by the team, which he has not really experienced with being on an actual team before.
Right. Yeah.
And I will say, that's a very real thing. When you are in a casual pickup sport environment and you play without teammates that you're familiar with, there's this feeling like you have to do every bit your part right, like to the utmost perfectly. Otherwise, you will get selectively, effectively removed from the eyes of the rest of your team. But by it being done this way, Hinata is aware of how integral the other players are to every single move that he does.
Yes.
So it redeems it in his eyes. But I liked the almost comical way that they had each person trying to right the ship of Hinata, basically. Kind of, he's all like topsy-turvy. He's like, I need to go to the bathroom. And each person had their thing that they'd try, but eventually it was Kageyama who started it off with his, hey, you hit me in the back of the head with the serve.
That was very
There's nothing
creative.
Scarier, right? Yeah. Now that you've done that,
you don't have anything
be nervous, right?
Yeah. That was fantastic. I love that they had the manager go up, and she just goes up and she puts her hand on his shoulder, and he's like, "I'm counting on you." And it's like,
it freaks out. It's like, well, you've done the death blow. Yeah. Well done.
That was fantastic. I love how they were trying to intimidate the other team at the beginning. Yes. And and then Daichi shows up and he's like, "What are you doing?"
It was ridiculous because one of the things that these players all have with just this show is the ability to fire out this rapid fire quick dialogue that's unique to each personality and just covers a massive broad range of different types of things that they're going to say. So it's so great to see them just going bam, 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 bam.
And I absolutely love the comical faces that they have for these characters.
Oh, the dirt faces are
the dirt
so
faces
real.
are amazing.
Tanaka coming up behind me going like...
That was so good.
That was creepy and hilarious.
But it was so simple. Like a lot of times,
to my face.
A lot of times in anime, it seems like they're trying too hard to make the expressions be over the top, right?
Yes.
But by doing this sort of minimalist approach, it communicates something so simple and clear and straightforward.
Exactly.
And you're just like, that is fantastic. Yes.
I loved Tanaka's kind of fall back on that usual kind of intimidating face. What are you doing here, guys? You know.
Oh yeah.
Whereas,
yep.
Instead, he took on the Osu face of just kind of. You know, I can't even do that with them.
Yeah. Well, right, because it's
really
like
hard to say because it's the.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to know how I got these scars? You know.
He's like something's coming for you. Like.
I liked that Suki is still generally abrasive.
Yes.
But he was even kind of picking up on the banter of the team by like, hey, yeah, teach me how to serve also the back of the head. And then like,
right.
You better get ready. The bullying's going to happen on the field or something like that. Actually, that might have been Tanaka that said that. But he picked up really well.
Yeah, he picked up on it really well. And I love, okay, here's one of the other things that I absolutely love. They showed off Suki being good at his thing, because since they have all these different characters, you know that the people that are already on the team are good, right? And they did a good job of showcasing that. But they also showcased the people that you don't necessarily like. Well, okay, you know Suki's strength is
he's tall.
That he's tall. But I love that they gave them ample like focus. Well, not ample, but they gave them their own time to focus on them, and that when the other team was talking about them and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that combo! You know, what can we do?" He's like, "Whoa, like it." Like, okay, yes, but don't forget this guy and this guy and that guy,
because their reasoning for doing this is because Kageyama's on the team. They wanted to make sure they don't have any real threat from the team Karasuno.
Right.
And also it's a potential to get some practice in before the game. No, not payback.
Okay.
The coach is doing this primarily for a scouting thing. He gets some prior knowledge of teams that could be a threat going into the real season.
Yes.
And they were essentially letting them play out their best players, but he's like, all right, you guys are the best players we have here, but it wasn't really true, because when this setter guy comes in...
And what's the story for that? Like, was he just late, or
maybe
like,
he's
what's
kind
going
of
on?
their bad boy setter.
Sure.
He's the one that doesn't show up. He doesn't take the game as seriously because he's so good.
That could be it. Another thing that they could be doing, and this, okay, I hope they don't do this because it would be a little bit cheesy.
It's so loud. Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
I hope they don't do this because it would be a little bit like cheesy, but basically saying like, okay, we were actually wanting to keep this guy a secret, so that way we could surprise teams with him when it really matters.
But then it doesn't matter now. So
right, yeah, that's a good point, because it's a practice game. So they would, if that was the case, they would just let themselves lose and then pull it out later and be like, haha.
That would actually make a lot of sense. To say they have him observe Kageyama and the rest of the team, like Hinata, and help them formulate a strategy and how to beat them when they come to
find their weaknesses.
Yeah, for the regular season.
Okay, yeah.
But maybe they do need a hands-on approach and actually have this character come in and show them up. Maybe he'll be the point of how to rattle their defense, which is apparently a little bit weak.
Right, because
for Karasuno.
Because we don't have a power ceiling right now. If you think about it. Like
no, we do a little bit. We just don't have one from the opponent's side.
Right.
We have each player is their own power ceiling for their specific thing.
Which is awesome, because that really gets that idea of camaraderie and sort of team competitiveness going, where it's like, okay, that person's really good at that thing, so I need to learn from them and get better at, say, blocking or, whatever. Right,
but also it's another thing to say it's a specialty thing where you can rely on Tsukishima to do a lot of the blocking because he's so good at it.
Yeah.
But I liked how they brought up Daichi's ability to basically fill in the team's holes.
Right.
Which means he's probably their strongest defender past the initial block.
Yeah.
So one of the things that they could basically bring up from that is that Hinata in particular might have to take a step back from being a spiker and focus more on learning how to receive when it comes to that place.
Sure.
Because one of the things that will happen sometimes is you'll get a two-man defense where the person that received it is the same person that comes in on the spike as well.
Okay.
Because they can basically have that momentum coming in from the back towards the front.
I don't know much about volleyball.
Yeah, it's not always that way. I would say it's rarely that way. But it would be a helpful thing for maybe them to cross kind of train each other. So say Hinata gets better at receiving, and Tsukishima gets better at spiking, and Tanaka gets better at blocking or something.
Sure.
Like there's that constant...
Or just knowing when is the correct time to rip off your shirt and wave it around in the air.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With this bit of having Hinata and Turnip-kun basically having their little spat before the game, I'm surprised that they're focusing so little on basically the dynamic between players who are at that
that was very surprising.
Not
like
bringing that up again.
Yeah, it almost seemed like they were basically saying like Turnip-kun is just like the collective like representation
of their team.
Right. I mean, and I guess it would have maybe bogged down the game as far as time goes, and pacing and stuff if they had done this, but I would have liked to see their own like team dynamic. Right,
but also the players that were in Kageyama's team in junior high didn't all necessarily go to Johsai or something like that.
That's a great point. Well, and even if they did, they made a good point of showing that the enemy team is huge.
Right.
So they might actually, like, there might be like 4 of them on that team or something, but maybe only one of them is actually good enough to be on the field.
For sure. I think what they were saying with huge is always about tall. Whenever you hear them talking about how huge they are in this show, it's always referring back to height. I've never seen them say anything about the size of their team being an actual thing.
Gotcha.
The size of their team's roster.
Sure. Okay.
Like, I don't think they're going to bring that up until they have, like, a doubleheader or something.
Sure.
Which would be interesting. What if they actually did introduce the whole concept of fatigue into a game? I get the feeling that these volleyball games are shorter than something like a soccer game.
Okay.
Or for those of you the international areas, football.
Right. And at the very least, they don't have as much running.
No, there's a bit of running in volleyball. There is. It's not as much as soccer, or football as is obvious, but it's more quick reactions.
Right, and that is still totally exhausting.
And it is pretty constant sometimes. One of the things that's really tiring is a point that keeps getting sent back and forth to both sides of the court. Yeah. And since these guys are playing in high school, there is a higher likelihood of the points being fast.
Right.
Since there's less skill in general on both sides. But once you get into the more pro, higher skilled games, so say Karasuno goes really far into the end game, like the tournaments or the playoffs or what have you, they could end up in a game where fatigue becomes a real thing, and characters have to get switched off for just the fact that they get tired.
And that could be something that could be a really cool dynamic, because then if they're up against a school that is not just huge as in like tall, but huge as in they have a ton of players, then it could be this really cool thing where it's like, okay, no, I have to keep giving just a little bit more, because if they pull me out now and for a break, we aren't going to have enough people to keep up with the other team.
Well, no, it's just that you won't be on the field and you'll feel bad, like you're letting your team down.
Well, sure, but
down. I think Daichi kind of became... Some fan told me about this nickname they have for Daichi, and it's Dadchi. Basically, Daichi is the dad of the team, and he makes sure that everyone's
playing nice,
stirring up crap for no reason. And the fact that his head got really big in multiple scenes where he's like, this is a match! Let's cut it out already!
And they all got small and chippy-fied.
Right. I love that aspect of Daichi, and that he is the most calm and collected person on the team in terms of his maturity level. But when people start being immature and stirring up crap, he isn't hesitant to throw down the hammer of the law and be like, all right, shut up, let's go.
Right.
No more dicking around.
Shinzo Sasageo.
Yes, the power of his eyebrows compels you. I would say that this show is really doing well the dynamic of having unique characters just causing drama / struggle amongst each other by being different.
Right, even if they do use it for comedy at some point.
Right, but I'd say the comedy bit makes the melodrama that would be considered a bit negative in other shows actually good. Like, what do you think about that? Because I see this show as being a very melodramatic episode. Melodramatic show just in general.
Yes.
But it's made better by the dialogue and humor quality.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And the idea that the things that they are basically having conflict over, melodrama over, are things that you would actually have conflict over in, like, real life. You know, people that rub you the wrong way on the team. And if they play it up a bit for the sake of comedy, that's fine. The places where melodrama tends to really become a problem is when you're like, okay, why is this conflict even happening? It doesn't make sense. And then, then you kind of tune out.
Then you have a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the aspect where they had the coach kind of talking about their whole, abilities and stuff. It felt a little bit shonen-y, and that they're the powers of their players. It's like they're talking about the protagonists as if they're the antagonists.
But the thing is that they still made it so that it's like, no, don't just focus on the protagonist. Like there are other people too, and that was still, so it still worked its way into the whole theme of teamwork. Which was great.
But what I would like to see is something where instead of focusing on them, they start talking. He starts maybe encouraging them by saying, "Oh yeah, you have so and so on your team, and he's good at blocking. He's good at this."
Right.
And they start target. And basically, it's a way for them to introduce characters that could be bigger characters down the line.
Yes, absolutely.
But we also know names. We know skills, tactics, and stuff.
Right.
And it makes them feel like a real team instead of just an obstacle for Karasuno to overcome.
Because that's one of the one sports anime I actually watched was Chihaya Furu. And one of the things they did that I was kind of surprised about, I don't know if this is normal or it was just something that that show did, is they would have teams that they would basically, compete against, but they would actually go into a fair amount of detail about the characters on the other team, their strengths, weaknesses, things like that. And then that team would become sort of like a side character, like that you would see their struggles as they go along in the tournament and be like, oh, hey, we're going to be facing you guys again. Okay, we'll beat you this time. Or something like that. And that would be really cool if they did that in this show.
Maybe they'll do that in the real games.
Which would be
maybe
awesome.
Maybe
not now. But I would really love to see that because of how much they've shown this sport to be dependent on teamwork.
Yes.
If they give that level of detail to the other teams, it will make them really feel just real.
Especially if there's continuity to where we see, like, in future seasons, like say they actually have a new season of volleyball and we see players switching sides and stuff. We see players growing and getting better, and it's like,
hey, you couldn't spike like that before.
Exactly, that kind of thing. It shows that the world is developing, and again, it makes them feel like real people and not just characters.
Okay.
I'd say they hit all the notes. If anything, I think this episode, they kind of felt like they needed to do this, but it dragged a little bit onward with Hinata's queasy nervousness.
Yes.
I think it went a little bit too long. I'm not going to say it was a negative thing, but I felt like it didn't add anything to the episode by having it go on that long.
Yeah.
I know it's to point out the inherent inexperience and fragileness of Hinata right now, and that he's a new player, which I totally understand. I know it's like being a new player in where you're surrounded by people that are better than you. But to have Osu or Suga in that regard being kind of silent, maybe having it be a little bit of time where they went too far into the comedy to keep this whole thing perpetuated, felt like they could have ended the actual episode with the game ending, but they wanted to end it with this new setter coming into play. So maybe when they were adapting the manga, they're like, okay, we're going to drag this part out a little bit more. And I wouldn't say it keeps it from being a good episode. It's just one of those things where I'm like, wow, Haikyuu is such a good show
that
that's the only thing I could actually nitpick in this episode. The only thing.
What I would have liked to see happen, because I agree that the stuff with Hinata did get a little bit repetitive. I liked, though, that it took a long time for him to get over it. I know, like, as far as the real estate of the episode, yes, they could have, like, spent it a bit better. But one of the things is that when you're in a funk, when it's it's all in your head, Mr. Tweedy, you can't just get out of it. Like, it doesn't really work. You kind of have to get out of it in order to get out of it. So
you're in a no-win scenario until you just somehow are out of it.
Right. Until there's something like what Kageyama did. So what I would have liked to see is basically them be a bit more creative, or not. No. Okay, I didn't want them to be more creative with how they were trying to get Hinata out of it. I would want to see be a bit more creative and have a bit more of variety with what was happening with Hinata while he was in it.
Right, instead of just running to the bathroom.
Right, running to the bathroom all those times, things like that.
Yeah,
like have him actually have like a heart-to-heart with one of the players on the side, maybe the manager or someone, and be like, guys, no, I'm kind of freaking out here. I know that I have like my own talents or whatever, but I don't feel like I deserve to be on this team.
Yeah, they did the bit where he was playing badly. I think that was good. But instead of maybe just showing some of the other stuff, have the playing badly thing be a bit where, it actually sparks some kind of conversation like that, and they have to call like a timeout and stuff.
Are there timeouts in volleyball?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, overall, I think we've got a good handle on kind of how this show is set up.
Yeah.
But I like that they add little things here and there that kind of surprise us.
Yes.
And each character feels so real that I just want to see these characters do things now. Like, I'm almost at that place, Jacob, where I think I mentioned this previously, but I think I'm like almost completely at that place where I don't even care what these characters do. I just want to see them do things.
Sure.
Like, I don't even care if it goes full on slice of life and they just have a fireworks party and you know, go like play at the beach or something like that. I don't even care now.
Yeah.
Like, I think the one character that still needs to grow on me is Tsukishima and Yamaguchi. I think Yamaguchi has like no character at this point, and I think that's okay because they're not focusing on him. But especially with Hinata, Kageyama, Daichi, Tanaka, Suga, or Osu. I don't know. Maybe I'll stop calling him Osu. We'll see. We'll see.
one of the other things I want to call out is that now with Suga, he didn't really get much like screen time, or he didn't really get to do anything this episode. But that's like the exception. Pretty much everyone else got at least some bit of development. Even the manager, we actually found out that she's the manager. Like, little things. I mean, we expected that, but it hadn't. I don't think it had actually been said. And,
no, I don't.
And that's
so.
Impressive that they are keeping up development on
everyone
as they're going
Hinata.
forward. Right. I mean, this was definitely a Hinata-centric episode.
But it also was a Kageyama-centric episode.
It was, yeah, and they touched on everybody, and that's just fantastic. I love it.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you later. I'm messing up the outro. All right, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon, and you can see the next episode of Haikyuu right now. Yeah, and see how this team battle really goes. All right, guys, we'll see you later. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.